Hey, what is up guys, Massive here, back to do another video, and today I'm going to showcase another pretty great game I had about a week ago. This is going to be on Tournament Oasis. I'm playing as the Reaper 17, my opponent is playing as the Black Hand. And I promise you guys that after you've watched this video, you will come to the conclusion that this was one of a kind game. That you never saw anything like this game before. I promise you that right now. At the end of this game, you will have no other game to reference it to. So, nothing out of the ordinary just yet. Opening up with some buzzers. Of course, I don't know that I knew this game he was Black Hand. Sometimes players pick random, but in this case, we both picked our factions, which is better. I prefer to know what my opponent is. Both of us can make pretty informed decisions early on and proper scouting patterns. There's no mind games.
Construction complete. New construction options.
Shielded harvesters, very tanky. Black Hand are best not to rush them with bikes. Flame rushes work well against Reaper. Their buildings die all the same as Skrin and Travelers. Flame weaponry particularly good against Skrin factions due to them not having any fencing, so they can't cast a laser fence on a building and increase its durability.
Construction complete.
One disadvantage of Black Hand is that they have unstealthed harvesters, but just like Steel Talons, they get a little more hit points on those halves to make up for it.
Unit under attack.
Which is not mentioned anywhere. You have to dive into the stats to know that. And this is something you can do with buzzers. You can... that time it didn't work. But what you can do is you can put your buzzer behind an opponent's building and just bait your opponent's units who come around, and you duck out of cover and kill that squad right away. But that time I have my buzzer on hold fire stance, which has its advantages too. If it's on hold fire stance, it's not going to wander off and approach the enemy unit, but you got to be on point, vigilant, and assign it to a stance different to that one when you need it to kill stuff. Opening with a tier 2 here, which is interesting. Against Black Hand, typically the best thing to do would be to go for a bunch of mechapeds on one base. But curiously, I'm going for Storm Riders. Now, this used to be a really good strategy in 1.02 because sub-faction attack bikes took more damage from Storm Riders. Because there's a special rule that bikes deal 25% less damage to bikes, but EA didn't change it for the sub-faction bikes when they put out the expansion pack, so only the Nod ones got that. And I'm sure you guys knew this, but if you didn't, drone ships can crush infantry when they are deploying, though, let's be honest, that really happens. But what you may not know is that the drone ship can kill flying shadow teams. So if you've got shadow teams, make sure you don't fly them into an enemy drone ship. That is a bad decision. 5 Storm Riders are out. Micro has to be pretty on point with these. These are not like the V35s that I've been using with Steel Talons. No, these do require a lot more finesse. They don't repair in the sky. But just like the V35s, they don't have to return to base. These can shoot forever. But like the mecha, they require your utmost attention. The second you divert attention away from microing your storms, I can tell you from experience, that is when you're losing those Storm Riders, guys. They are gonna die the second you look away. Mecha P is the same thing. Always remember the time I played Panic. I alt-tabbed to desktop by accident by pressing the Windows key, and I lost like 5 mechapeds to him. Harvesters in jeopardy. I was hoping that these storms could buy enough time for me to grab this blue Tiberium. Sadly, though, one of the harvesters may be picked up, but if my targeting is good, I can definitely kill those before the half die. Sadly, though, that did not occur. He's just got way too many bikes. Those buggies tanking so much damage, but the Storm Riders, most importantly, are still alive. And I'm going to chase back some of those buggies there with the Storms. Got to be careful now since he probably has a tier 2 now. Probably going to build SAM turrets, and those are a little more lethal nowadays before tip core, just due to that quad turret upgrade existing, whereas before it just didn't work without it being considered a cheat. Seekers, not sure what they're doing there. They're trying to defend this harvester, but I'm completely overwhelmed by this many bikes. My concern now is he goes for a tier 3 and gets a tip core. I felt I didn't have the time to survive this push by going for a tier 3. He's simply gonna move his bikes into my base if I build a technology assembler, but he pulled back. He could have gone in. Him going back though did accomplish the same thing. I was forced to cancel my tier 3 and rebuild it. Storm still continue to be a menace. Inf are no good against Skrins. Maybe in the mid game, but I wouldn't spam them due to the prominence of phased shard walkers, which can kill an endless sum of infantry. Though you can play around that as not factions by spreading your infantry using Control X by default. Harvesters though, being targeted by him, he's going to take another one of my harvesters out. I am not doing so well here, losing harvester after harvester. My trades have been good with the Storm Riders. They've been doing a lot of damage. I don't know if I have any ranks on them, but they are $1,500 units, so they're not going to rank up terrifically fast. Don't need 2 extractors on that one field anymore. You get $700 for selling them off, so you may as well. As Reaper, I do get that free scan power, which could be helpful to deduce if he has set up a 3rd base or not. It's always handy to know that, because if not, he could be sending a 2nd MCV to my 3rd field with a Redeemer engineering facility queued. That's what Blackhand players like to do. They like to base push you with 2 MCVs and a Redeemer. Storm Riders, though, getting repairs nearby that Ion Storm Cloud, plus they get a buff in the process. They take less damage whilst in Ion Storms. And the Storm Column itself has the possibility of blocking missiles. Speaking of missiles, sad news for me, he has the Tiberium Core missile upgrade researched, so now that splash damage is gonna make it so the Storms can no longer kite as efficiently. He's also using the stop command to prevent the bikes from running into those Storm Riders, but Storms are simply not the answer anymore for me. But it is a miracle that they are still alive. This is really hard to do. It may look easy in this video, but trying to kite tip core bikes with Storm Riders is practically unheard of in this game. No grave stimulators for me. Things are not looking too dire. I just did a scan here to reveal if he has set up an expansion. Looks like he is fully committed to this attack. Thankfully, I do have a super weapon, sorry, support power that I could use to thwart this attack, or at least limit the DPS of it. I've got another support power that I can use to save my harvesters if they come under serious threat. I mean, this is a serious threat, but could have been worse. Tripods completely decimating those bikes. I think that was a really good stasis shield, saving my economy. Now, what do I do at this point? I'd like to mention, though, that this has been a crazy game thus far, and we haven't even got to the crazy part yet. That's what my opinion is of this so far. Lots of blue being regrown at that field. I should definitely allocate a harvester or 2 to that field to grab some of it. He said a full expansion. I am screwed. Without using derogatory language, I am screwed. Blue shards, however, does complete. But that's not enough, really. 3 shard walkers. If he transitions to infantry now, I'm going to have real problems. Though that is the least of my problems, since I don't have an expansion set up. Storm Riders, though, will be in his base. He's got a fully saturated field. I've got a second drone ship. I built the second one because it's handy having a mini-map. If you're microing units and when every unit counts, having that mini-map is a good thing. The gig is up for the Storm Riders. They have been cornered, literally, and will be destroyed. But I think they paid off. Did they pay off enough? I don't know. I mean, look at the base situation for me. I don't have a second base, but that'll soon change since I have 2 drone ships. And I've got a refinery queued. I'm also sending harvesters to that field now. Shard launchers does finish, so to defend against those spikes, not only do I have tripods and shard walkers, but I have a very competent base defense in the form of the photon cannon. Those, when upgraded with shard launchers, are very powerful. Very spammable too. They only cost $1,200. So I'm just going to place those around the place. Got that storm column there as well. Storm columns and photon cannons all over the place. It's not going to be a cheap attack this for him. It's going to be very costly. Left 1 tripod at my third because I know that's the most vulnerable and most important part of my base. Without it, I cannot fight any further. Buggy though still on the map, and at this point he's probably thinking, oh yeah, Leaf's going to go for more tripods. It's Reaper 17, it's going to be tripods. Who else is going to do anything else other than that? Reaper 17, it's just tripods and shard walkers later on. There's no other threat on this map in this matchup, but I have other ideas. I'm going for a quad portal ravager spam, and he sees the first ravager, and at this point he may think, okay, that's just from a sold off tier 3 or something. But no, indeed I am spamming ravagers, and since I have 4 portals, I'm gonna get a ton of these out, and I'm gonna get them out extremely quickly as well. I'm all in Ravager. I'm all in Ravager. And what do I get for selling a tier 3? I get another Ravager, which is exactly what we need. That's what our cause is. Ravager spam. Heroic bike there. That is very, very good. Buggy's doing what they can against these blue shard Ravagers, but they are simply just outclassed by them. Now it is Black Hand, so there is the possibility of him going for flame infantry as well as particle beam shredder turrets, but so far these Ravagers have not been answered. He does have the quad turrets on his shredders, and even though he doesn't have particle beams just yet, these shredder turrets are doing a lot of damage to my Ravagers, and the buggies as well, cleaning them up. Those Ravs can sustain this much damage from his buggy spam. I'm bringing in Tiberium still. I don't have many squads of Ravagers. I should maybe build a warp sphere so I can use the reconstruction drones. That also heals screen infantry. But if Ravagers don't work, you know what I can do? I can just build photon cannons. I got that shard upgrade, so those can work on the shredder turrets while the Ravagers wait behind the lines till the coast is clear. Now, I have been losing my harvesters, man. I've only got 2 left, and he's found them. One of the 2 dies, so this is leaving me in a bit of a pickle. I don't have any resources. These are the last 2 photon cannons I can spam without selling half my base off. And it turns out he sold his tier 3 to go for that bike buggy spam on 3 war factories. So he sold that off, assumed that I would not ever do anything but tripods and the game would be over. In fact, he probably believes he can defend this off with raider buggies. He's doing a good effort. He's got the economy still. I have no economy. He's got that MCV, and he can still place quad turret shredders, which can still kill the Ravagers. He's got infantry coming out as well, but with these Buzzer highs beginning to be spammed. That's not going to be enough. Plus, I'm hyper aware of the chance of being hit by the hallucinogenic grenades of the Cabal squad, so I'm looking at these at all moments, and hopes remain, guys. Hopes remain. He doesn't have that particle being shredded just at this present time. Cabals are not doing it for him. The Ravager is now starting to work on the harvesters. His refinery is going to be destroyed. Don't need any anti-vehicle units when you have Ravagers. Just use that tip agitation and you'll be good. A simulator approaching. The Black Hand needs to be forcing him to sell that off. And now he has a ton of war factories. And this looks a bit deceiving. It looks like I've won, but I haven't. He's got a lot of units still. Remember those spikes? They killed my harvesters. They return to base. The tripod is no more. Plus, all he has to do now is spam loads and loads and loads of buggies, and my Ravagers will be killed. Those are very costly, those Ravagers, but they don't have much health. So I'm going to force the engagement soon and get some healing up on this Tiberium field. What I can do is try and take that husk back, move the second drone platform nearer to that husk to capture it. I can also use the tip agitation on his tip spike, which is nearby. And we're going to see the big engagement unfold here as a lot of Raider buggies encroach on the blue shard Ravagers. But these blue shards are so strong. Just look at the damage. And you can't blame players for not expecting what happens in this sort of situation. I don't even think anybody could guess what would happen in a mass Ravager versus buggy fight and how many buggies you'd need. It just doesn't happen all that often. And lastly, I want to mention you can target Tiberium core upgraded power plants of the Nod faction with that tip agitation ability. So yeah, man, that game, despite it being so oriented around Storm Riders in the start, turned out to be a Ravager game. And I thought that was an awesome transition. Something I've never seen before. I don't believe that has ever happened before. Winning versus Black Hand. In the late game, I've lost all my harvesters. And my idea after losing all my harvesters was to not build the tripod, but instead go mass Ravager spam and build a lot of portals. Because the thing about portals is it only takes 6 seconds to build. So you can get 4 of them out quickly and you can pump a lot of resources into Infinite. That worked out tremendously well. I built them originally to counter the bike buggy, but then I realized, okay, we'll give it a shot. We'll attack him with the drone platform, deploy the photon cannons to kill the shredder turrets, and then the Ravagers can go ham on the rest of his base. Those have insane DPS. Anyways, guys, hope you all enjoyed that Reaper 17 versus Black Hand game, and I'm going to wrap up this video now. Hope you all enjoyed it. Before I go, I'd like to thank my Patreon members for continuing to support me and my channel and keeping this game going. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, this is it from me, Master Leaf. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.